Where does it say I'm live? Oh, I guess it just says in stream, so that means we're live. Okay, we're live.
I don't see it on YouTube.
It says I've been live for 13 seconds,
Oh,
Scott,
there you
so
go. There
it
you
must
go.
be right. Oh, is
Yep,
that how much delay it is? 10-second delay?
something like that. So, well, first off, how you doing, Ellis?
I am doing pretty good. We were just talking about
Oh my
having one of
gosh.
those days,
Yeah.
and I guess we both had
Well,
partial upsets.
my day went okay. I'm off work. I was off work yesterday, and I will not go to work until June 3rd, I think it is.
That
So
sounds
I
like
get all next week off.
groovy.
So, that's a
That's
thing.
restorative. Yeah, that's that.
Well, so what they did is they changed our vacation at my work, and so I told you I wasn't going to touch this, and so I had to take a bunch of vacation all of a sudden.
Yeah,
You know,
or
uh,
lose it,
well, they were going
or
to pay me. They were going to
get
pay me
money.
for it.
Yeah.
So I've got. I think I showed you this. I got a list of stuff I'm doing. You know, and
Reading, watching.
so yeah. So I wanted to talk about some of this stuff first because I'm
Okay.
caught up. I'm caught up with Black Cricket, and
Okay.
I spent about an hour and a half with Dan on the phone yesterday. It was great. So I talked about. Let's see. Can you see that? Yeah. So I bought this movie, The Mask of Demetros,
Because.
because Jim Steranko says he saw this as a kid and it had a huge influence over him.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen him. It's not on streaming anywhere that I could find. It wasn't that expensive. Now I'm not going to get the book, but it's based off a book by Eric Ambler. I don't know if you've ever read any Eric Ambler books, but I went through a phase in the '90s where I read a bunch of Eric Ambler stuff. I don't think the book is actually The Coffin for Demetros. I have it, but I don't think I've read it. But there's several of Eric Ambler's books. He was a pre-World War II writer,
Uh-huh.
and several of his books were made into movies. And so I wanted to watch this, and I was considering reading the book, but and I had a list of stuff, and I was couldn't find anything I wanted to read. So I'll kind of show you some of the stuff I've come up with.
Well, that
And
Mask of Demetrius is one of those pairings of the Fat Man, Gut,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Peter Lorre.
yeah, Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet.
Sidney
It's right
Greenstreet.
there.
Yeah.
But I think aren't they in the Maltese Falcon?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they pushed them into 9 movies together. I hope they liked each other.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because
Well,
the studio decided they had a team, a franchise.
yeah. So anyway, in fact, I think I'm gonna watch this tonight. I watched last night. I watched Soylent Green. That was one of
Cool.
Barry's suggestions.
Uh-huh.
And then this afternoon, I watched the Omega Man. I think I actually like Soylent Green better.
Oh sure, yeah. Omega Man is a I Am Legend. You know, it does its job. It's good.
Right.
But,
I want to watch
it's more
the
TV
Vincent.
movie feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to watch the Vincent Price one now. I've watched it, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Last Man on Earth, I think is what it's
Yes.
called. Yeah, and it's funny because man, Charlton Heston, he's just trying his hardest to pull
man.
off a Steve McQueen cool in that
Yeah.
movie, and
Yeah.
and both of them really, but not so. This one especially, he's got and it's ironic because at one point his house, so he has this house. He's the last man on Earth basically, and so he's collected all this art and all this stuff, and he's got it in his house. And these vampires or zombies or whatever they break in his house and they purposely destroy all his stuff. They're not zombies because they're not mindless, and their idea is just they just want to get rid of. They just want to completely upheave society.
They want no remnant of the old
Right.
world. They're the only
Right.
thing that needs to exist. They are.
Yes, and I thought, holy cow, it's like nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very struck by that. I'd seen it before. I never noticed that before. So, okay, so here's another, and I sent you a picture of this book, The Alamo, An Epic Told from Both Sides by Jack Jackson. I have read some of the library used to have a Jack Jackson book. Jack Jackson also went by the pen name Jackson with an
Yes.
X. Did a lot of he was a very pioneer in self-published underground stuff.
Yes, I think he
But
actually ran a multi-lith printer, if I remember right. He was one of the
maybe,
guys actually hands-on running those
yeah.
complicated old multi-lith printers so they could have comic books.
So he was from Texas. He was into Texas history. He wrote many volumes about Texas history. I don't know if this came out as comics originally or what, but I saw this on Amazon. I looked for it because I was like, did he do a book about the Alamo? Because we went
Uh,
to the Alamo not quite a year ago, about 8 months ago, and I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I've read several books about the Alamo. I've read a comic about the Alamo that's really good. Um, but I saw this, and I saw this on Amazon. I thought, surely that's not the right. I mean, that cover's not him,
no,
you know.
it looks, it looks like some of the art I associate with the Bible encyclopedias that
Exactly.
I
It
was
could be a
exposed to.
textbook. Could be,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was painted. It was a guy named Sam Yates, and it's well done. But it's
Mhm.
not. Well, first off, why is there not an Alamo on it? But anyway, but the
Well, is it
interior is
not the
all
interior? Yeah, the interior artist. That's it's one of those rules that
well.
some
I
publishers just feel like no, no, no. The interior art's the interior art, and then
yep.
we got to juice it up for
And
sales sake.
I have not read this yet, but I mean, I can't wait to read it. I mean, it's and I in our conversation, I compared him to Robert Crumb, and not he's a lot more realistic than Robert Crumb, but he's got that same very
Yes,
almost like an
he's a renderer. I mean,
yeah, almost like an anxious ink line.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He gets after that rendering, and he's got a very good vocabulary for hatching. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is something I'm gonna try and get read this week.
Hmm.
So I'll show you another book. I think I put this in the pictures. I think you've seen everything. I've had this book for a while.
Sparring with Gil Kane.
Look how thick that thing is.
Damn.
It is,
And that's just
and
one interview or a
no, no,
series
no,
of
no, no.
interviews?
Oh, no, no, no. This is interviews. It's a lot of interviews that he's. Oh, hey, one right there. Jack Jackson, one of the first interviews. These
Huh.
are interviews that he did with people. Some of them are from comic conventions, like panels. The transcript of
Uh-huh.
panels from conventions in the '80s. But it's like Noel Sickles.
That's smart. Just transcribing a good panel.
Oh
That's
yeah.
good.
Anyway, I'm looking. Mine's kind of a rough copy, but it's out of print. Copies of this go for, I don't want to say big bucks, but they're kind of pricey. Gil
Hmm.
Kane stuff. There's a Gil Kane book that I used to see for everywhere when in the '90s. It's got a red cover. It's called like the Art of Gil Kane, and I would love to have it now, but God, it goes for so much. And it's like, oh, I saw, I could have got that for cover price anywhere. Of course,
Yeah.
I didn't have at the time. I probably didn't have cover price. So the last book that I'm going to show you, and I think you saw this. I was at Half Price Books, and I was looking for, well, so I'm completing my Calvin and Hobbes collection. I don't know if you ever read Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh sure. Yeah, I've got a big anthology of him.
Well, they've collected everything in 3 big hardcovers, and it's a slipcase thing. But I had a bunch. I bought them when they came out, like in the '90s or whatever. But I didn't really know what I had. They had some treasuries and they had some single books, and so I was like, I don't know what I have. So I thought I should look at that because I was somehow I got on a Calvin and Hobbes kick a couple weeks ago, and so I
Oh,
looked and
getting
come to
on a
find.
Watterson kick is great for any artist.
Sure. And so I looked, and I was missing 2 books, and so I was going to go to Half Price Books to see if they had them. They had them, but they were in terrible shape. So one of them I ordered online. I found one of them at the Half Price Books by me. But while I was there, they wanted $2 for this. Now I have a copy of this somewhere. I read it when I was a kid because I was big into novelizations
Sure.
of movies because we didn't go see movies when I was a kid hardly. It was very rare. So I always bought the novelizations. And I thought, man, I really want to read that. And I'm only 22 pages in, but it's really good. I mean, you know what happens, but there's so much added detail in the novelizations.
Well, boy, I just Made a rubbery leg. But did you miss out on Raiders? Did you not go see it
No. I
at
did
the
see.
time?
I
Okay.
did see Raiders,
Okay.
but I bought the novelization
Uh,
anyway. And so I'm doing it. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm doing a drawing of it. I don't know if you saw the drawing I did of Harrison Ford. I thought it.
I did see it. I did see
I've
it.
tried to draw him several times, and I could not get his likeness down. And I did this. I thought that came out pretty good. That
Yeah.
inspired me to do
No,
something
no,
else.
you got the big shape right. And that's where you
Yeah,
start.
yeah, his hat's a little wonky, but anyway. So I'm doing. So this is my current hardcover sketchbook, and I'm about 20 pages to the end, you know. And so I'm hoping to finish this up. I don't know if I'm going to, but I realized I didn't have anything on this very front. I had this, don't normally draw on, but I didn't draw anything here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a nice drawing here, and I may even print out the like a logo, it says Indiana Jones, and I want to do this, and then I'm gonna paint it. Okay, well, I don't know if I'm gonna watercolor it or color pencil it or what, but I'm gonna color it, and then what I'm gonna do is on this page, I'm gonna cover up my phone number. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wash this whole page black, and where he's got this torch, I'm gonna cut that out. So when you open the sketchbook, you see the torch there, and then when you flip the page, you see him. How cool is that?
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Well, I like these hardcover sketchbooks because they're kind of a permanent record or whatever. I've got a few of them on my shelf that I've
And you can
completed.
jazz them up. That is something you see artists doing. It's like, hey, wow, cool, jazzed up
Yeah,
sketchbook.
I try and keep one of these going. And this one is extra special because it's a Strathmore, and they don't make these anymore. Strathmore stopped making. Well, they went to a like a brown leather cover, and you can see I stick stickers on it. I mean, this thing's been abused, but I mean, I've worked in it for probably 4 years. Yeah, their drawings back to 2020, and I got it at Triangle A&E, and Triangle A&E is now out of business.
Uh-huh.
So it has.
Which is
There's.
sad to me. It's like
Oh
almost
my
like
gosh.
some of my other favorite things that have gone away. Triangle A&E is something that should have always been around somehow.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're starving for art supplies in Oklahoma City, and they put in a Jerry's Artorama, and I thought,
Hmm.
oh, this is great. Well, I'd never been to one, but apparently they like selling their own brand of sketchbooks and their own brand of pencils, and it's like, I don't want store brands that are made
Yeah.
in China. I want, like this Strathmore made in the USA, or what is it, Fabriano made in Italy,
Right.
or Canson made in France. I want because I've carried this for 4 years, not
Hmm.
every day, but when you spend that much time with something,
You want
you're
something that
you're like,
you like opening up and
yeah,
and feeling like you're
yeah.
almost turning the ignition key on it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just something, that you want to look nice and to
Hmm.
be quality, and I don't mind paying extra for that. But anyway, that's what's going on in my world. lots
Well,
of
yeah,
lots of
you're lots of prep and ready for
lots of
you know,
nitpicky
immersion.
immersion. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
Flyfox Pro says, "Hola,
hola,
hola,
hola. That's all the Spanish I know. No.
hola,
No.
hola."
I work with a guy I work with several people that are of Hispanic descent to various percentages. One guy is very Mexican. I don't think he'd mind saying that,
No.
but he speaks fluent Spanish, and so when he leaves, I always tell him "Vaya con Dios," which is "Go with God."
Uh-huh. Does he
And
know it?
oh yeah, he
I'm
knows
just
it.
kidding.
He knows it.
Says, I think Scott's been
I'll
cursing me out for the past 10 years.
Yeah, it's like
I
the
got to
old
check on that someday.
It's like the old Far Side where Tonto goes, and he gets the
yeah.
dictionary, or Lone Ranger gets the dictionary, and
Wait,
Kemosabe's like,
yeah.
horse's
Kemosabe.
rear. Yeah, Kemosabe is horse's rear. He's like, wait a minute, what the?
Yeah, whatever he is. Yeah, Larson. Nobody will ever touch Larson. He was the top
Oh yeah.
of the chain in terms of like joke telling, staging. He just didn't get better than Larson.
At San Diego, or I'm sorry, New York Comic Con one year, they had. He's got one of his gags is the School for Genius or something like
Yes,
that, and
gifted children.
Gifted
Yeah.
children. Yeah, it's like pull, and the kids pushing on it, and they had that. They had a setup of that, and you could take your picture. And I got a picture of me pushing
Leaning
on.
against it.
Yeah, pushing against it. You know, it's like You
And
know.
that is so funny because, you talk about how good an artist was Larson. He was good enough to give you all the weight of that little rotund little
Oh,
comic character.
who cares? That's not what comic strips are about.
Let's
So,
see, old Fly Fox Foe asked, can there even be a big comic strip artist ever again? He asked the question, I guess, throw it out. Can there ever be?
no.
I'm not sure.
no, because
I don't think they're,
newspapers are dead. I mean,
yeah.
my wife reads the Daily Oklahoman, and it's a fraction of the size it was. I mean, thickness. It's the same dimensions,
Mhm.
but I mean, the Sunday paper isn't even as thick as the regular daily used to be.
Yeah.
Now, and people go, oh, well, they could do webtoons or whatever, but it's not the same.
No,
We'll never, unless barring some kind of EMP or something like that.
yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see the newspaper because people,
there'll
cell
never be
phones,
enough
cell phones will
Al Cap.
warp. Yeah, cell phones will warp people's sensibilities, I think, about stuff, and so people, I just don't think they have the patience.
Al Cap and the guy that did Believe It or Not, what's his name?
Ripley.
Yeah, that name ought to be easy to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, those names, those big names, they made as much money as you could imagine making.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Milton Caniff and some of those guys.
Yes.
Holy cow.
The-
Who's the guy that died in the car wreck? That's Alex Raymond.
Alex Raymond, yes.
Yeah, I
Was,
mean
was he making big bucks at the
dude,
time?
he was driving a Mercedes Gullwing 300
boy.
SL when he died. I mean, I think he was
He was
it
making
was
the money.
his. Yeah, he wasn't eating cat food like these cartoonists nowadays.
Yeah, it's the Jack Lemmon movie, How to Murder Your Wife. He's got the nicest brownstone in New York you can imagine, and he sets up all of his art jobs with these huge productions so he can have reference for them.
Oh, yeah.
He basically stages every little bit of his strips, so he can
Yeah.
have photo reference for every bit of it.
So I went and saw a friend in the hospital today.
Yes, we have
we
a good friend that had his damn appendix
Ruptured. Yeah.
ruptured.
Oh, so let me give you the trick in case you don't know this.
Okay.
And I didn't know this when my wife's appendix was inflamed. This would have been helpful information. If you push, like if your stomach hurts and you're like, is that my appendix? Our friend who's a nurse told me that the trick is the tell is if it hurts when you let it go, like on rebound, if it hurts.
Ah,
That's a sign. Now that's not medical advice, but that's something you might want. Any listeners, is that's kind of the sign is
yeah,
if on rebound if it hurts.
that's interesting. Well, I know in the movie The Stand, that's what Gary Sinise has to do without any medical knowledge whatsoever. Didn't even have YouTube. He had to look at a book for it and take somebody's appendix out. I believe it was a success. But can you imagine saying, okay, somebody's got to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Here we go. Sharp.
Yeah.
Keep that light steady.
Yeah, no doubt. That would not be fun, but
Well,
well, so today I got home and there was and we'll talk about Barry in a second. I'm not trying, or our
friend.
our friend. Anyway, I got home and there was this unbelievably gory mess on my back patio.
Oh boy.
I don't know what it was. In hindsight,
A visiting
we
cat, maybe.
well, what we think it was. No, there was fur, and I told my wife it looked like something ate a rabbit whole and then pooped it. It was just this mess.
A little casting, yeah.
Well, and I think what it was, Michelle told me there've been some hawks flying around.
Uh-huh.
And so we think it was a hawk. Anyway, but when I looked out there and I saw it, I go, oh God, what is that? And then I thought, well, crap, I gotta go take care of that. You know? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's not removing an appendix, but it's something you gotta do.
I opened the front door the other day and it was like Daughters of Brides of Dracula or something on the front porch. I had two cats that were chowing down on a bird. It was like blood everywhere.
The Brides of Dracula. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Since cats, you always think of them as being feminine, and even when they're little
Even
boys.
when they're
these,
yeah.
Yeah, even though these were both two little girls, enjoying them a bird.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that they eat everything but the wings, man. They get to it.
They don't eat the wings? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know it. Wings are so tasty when you think about chicken, but
yeah.
But they, I guess they get just that big shoulder joint and maybe gnaw a little bit down toward their little equivalent bicep, but that's all they're interested in.
So are you going to come down maybe and see our friend tomorrow?
I was thinking about it. Yeah, I probably ought to. Did you shoot him an email? Did he acknowledge it before you went?
He did not acknowledge the email. We just showed up.
Just showed up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I can do that. Don't want to catch him. I'll ask the nurse. Well, what are you doing to him right at the moment, or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could probably
Yes.
call the ICU and just say, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming."
That's the deal. Our friend is in intensive care, so it's like ordinarily.
But he's out of
appendix stuff is like, okay, go home. And that's not the case with him.
Well, his ruptured. So, but for comparison, my wife, she wasn't feeling good. Her stomach was hurting. She went to bed. Next morning, she woke up and she was dizzy, which was like to the point she couldn't stand up.
Mm.
And so
I'd worry something was wrong with my brain.
Well, she was worried. She didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, no matter what it is, I need to take a shower. So I said, I'm gonna jump in the shower. And she got on Teledoc. She called her insurance, and I said, why don't you see if we can get you in someplace? And so I got her phone, and she was doing all this while I was, because I was like, well, I'll need to get dressed to get you somewhere. And so
that was a mystery to you when you guys started this journey. You didn't have a place to go that you knew for sure that's the place you go.
Right. Well, we didn't know where to go because the clinic. But there's an ER down the road from us. But we also know that's expensive. If if it's just like, oh, you're constipated, that's Yeah,
you don't want to do that.
So no. And so she made the call and the guy asked some questions and he said, well, it could be. He thought she could have an aorta bleed because he said she could be losing blood. And because her back hurt, and I go, well, what does that mean? I said, he said, well, you should get it looked at. I go, are you talking about tomorrow or are you talking about right now? And he said, well, you need to get it looked at now because if it starts to go bad, it's going to go bad quickly. Mm-hmm. And so we took her to the ER like right down the road from us at probably about 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning. Got her right in. Then they took her back and ran a bunch of tests on her, and they determined that her appendix was swollen, and so they made us, and they didn't do that there, so they got her a room down the street In fact, same place where Barry's at. I mean, our friend. And and so we went. They took her appendix out, and we were home. Left at 6:30, or left about 7. We were home at 6:30. After getting pain meds for her at the. I mean, it was a 12-hour thing. Meanwhile, he's been in the ICU for a week.
Jiminy.
But that's the difference between I got it in time and it ruptured. When it ruptured, it's a big deal. I mean, he's lucky to be alive, honestly. I mean, it's just. I have a lady at church, friend of mine at church. She her appendix ruptured, and she's in the hospital for about 6 or 8 weeks. Man, I mean. It's just your body just gets flooded with all that poison, and it's.
Yeah, I think people curse the existence of appendixes all the time because they don't do anything for you. I don't think.
Well, I keep telling.
I don't think you miss them a bit the moment you get them out of you.
I tell Michelle it's where your empathy comes from.
Empathy? Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's.
I don't mean it.
Yeah,
that's me teasing her.
It's like now you'll never love another pet.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's absolutely not true with her, man. Anyway, so let me know what time you go. Tomorrow's like a really busy day for me. I got to go out to Yukon with Mom.
I was thinking about going early. I've kind of had shifted my brain on that. I think I probably ought to show up kind of early and skip my walk for the day and go out there.
Oh, okay.
And probably show up about the 10 to 11 bracket and does that sound like that is something you'd be interested in?
That doesn't fit my schedule.
Okay.
I've got to go to Yukon at 10 tomorrow, and I don't know what time I'm coming back.
Okay.
I wouldn't plan it around me, but let me know when you're gonna. I don't know if I may go out to Yukon. It's not supposed to take long, but Mom may want to go to lunch or
sure.
So.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, these hospital. Obviously, I guess Barry's not an old friend of mine like he is an old friend of yours, but he can stand me hanging around for just a little bit and.
Sure. Oh, he'd love to see you. He asked about you. I mean, he was like, "How's Ellis doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And he
very
said,
good.
"Yeah, I'll talk to him." He said something. I'll talk to him, and then I won't hear from him for a couple of weeks. I said, "Well,
Like I said in my email, I said I was planning on in the back of my head maybe all of us going to see Furiosa. That was the thing that crossed my mind several times today about this situation for Barry. Barry loves his routines as much as I love mine. And he likes to eat well and make his own food and stuff like that. And here he is having to deal with all this crap,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
You're captive. You're captive. Of,
and I'll tell you, I thought about bringing him some books or something, but he's it's like, do you need anything? And he's like, I'm on drugs. I just sit here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking about bringing him the MP3 of Hail Mary, which is, I'm really enjoying it. But, I'd get it to him and he'd probably say, I read that when it came out.
What's Hail Mary?
Hail Mary is the book of the next book after the guy that wrote The Martian.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about that. I forget the guy's name.
It's very good. Yeah,
I thought
what is his name? I'll look it up.
The Martian was great.
Yeah, and it's the more of the same. It's like coming at you with just rapid fire.
Bunch of math.
Lots of math.
Lots of math and lots of.
And even if you don't understand it, it's like, ooh, I appreciate this. Andy Weir is his name.
Andy Weir, yeah. The Martian was good. Unfortunately, the movie really abbreviated a lot of the math.
It turned out it was a kind of semi-abbreviated thing.
It was still pretty good, though.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen the extended edition. It may be more, mathy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, decisions that are made like that are made usually for a reason. It's like, you know what? My eyes are starting to close. Let's quit with the math already. You
Yeah,
know,
there
in a
was.
movie, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's definitely a limited attention span for a movie. Um, Anyway, I went downtown today for a little while. Well, in fact, I was downtown when I got the call, or not the call, but the email from Barry, which kind of changed my day.
Sure.
I woke up. It was supposed to be stormy today. I woke up and it was like nice,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went downtown. I wanted to go to the library, downtown library. I'm trying to find some books on storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Have I told you about? I told you about the MTV guy, haven't I?
Yes. Yeah. You've got a guy that is a big promoter. That.
Well, this is getting more and more interesting, Ellis,
Mm-hmm.
because so for the listeners or for the viewers or whatever, I don't know if anybody's watching. I don't know if Dan's on here. I talked to Dan
I.
last night.
Mhm.
Uh, so I met a guy, and this is gonna sound bizarre. The guy that I met is is the greeter or Walmart of all things. But I got to talking to the guy because, as you've seen, that's kind of how I am. When we
Yeah.
go
That's the way to
somewhere,
be. Yeah.
I talk. Well, anyway, so this guy, in talking to him, he discovered I'm an art. Then I saw him at the local Michaels, and he realized we talked about my art, my comics, and all this stuff, and he so he we got to talking because he's a painter. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he's a musician, and then come to find out he knows the guy that was instrumental, one of the main guys that created MTV. Okay.
Uh huh.
So this guy is starting a new venture and he wants my friend involved and my friend wants me involved. And it's basically a multimedia, multi-platform content delivery system.
Huh.
And so there's it's been like this mystery about exactly what it is. I
Does
know the
he
name.
would he even know himself? Is he that sort of guy saying, "I know what I want and I'll get there"?
I think he knows. I think he kn- the but I don't know that Dave gets it.
Okay.
Okay, so so Dave, this guy flew Dave out to Vegas, and he was at a thing down in Vegas, and he gave him this book for me,
Mm-hmm.
and he signed it, which was cool. And I read it, and it's not real big. It's like 45 pages. It's
Mm-hmm.
barely a pamphlet.
Yeah.
But I read it, and I realized what he's doing is he's putting everything. So meanwhile, Dave tells this guy, "I want this guy to be part of it." So I send him I write a bio, and I send him a portfolio, and
Mm-hmm.
then Dave calls me and he says, "Hey, it's this guy's birthday. Why don't you send him a happy birthday?" And so I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, I'll send. And so I sent him. I just said, "Hey," he said, "Tell him who you are. Tell him I gave you the number." And I said that I said you should wish him a happy birthday. So I said, "Hey, Scott Sackett. I'm friends with Dave." And Dave gave me your number, told me it was your birthday, so I thought I'd wish you a happy birthday. And I said, I know you've accomplished a lot with your life, but I'm sure that there's more to come. And then I said,
Reciprocity.
and then
Small. There's no such thing as a small something. I just read that in Scott Adams' book. There's no such thing as small compliments or something like that.
oh yeah, yeah. And I finished up with, I said, may God uh, bless you with I think I said health and happiness. I think is
Mm-hmm.
what I said, or something like that. So he sent me a little note, said, "Thank you very much, very kind of you." Um, and I just kind of threw that last little bit in. I mean, I meant it, but it was kind of like, I don't know this guy. I don't know if he's religious, anti-religious, or whatever. But I felt like it was appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, come to find out, this guy is apparently fairly religious, and he
Mm-hmm.
liked that. And and so he sent me a note, and then I sent him a story. I told him that my brother and I when we were kids, MTV came out, but my parents wouldn't buy us cable, or wouldn't get cable, so we went to the community center, and we would, because the community center had a TV room that had cable, and we couldn't play pool because the older kids monopolized the pool table. But what we would do is we'd play ping pong, and we would play ping pong for control of the television. But none of the other kids could beat us because we had a ping pong table at home, and my uncles came over like every weekend, and we played ping pong. And so we played ping pong, and we were very competitive. And my brother and I were very good.
I'll have to play you ping pong sometime. I'm sure you'd
Oh,
wipe me out. I
I
used to play it in college, and it was fun. But I tell you what, there's something about having your ass kicked in ping pong. It scars you, I tell you. So you scarred the big kids with.
I will scar you.
I bet you would.
So anyway, so I told him that I sent that story. I didn't hear anything back. Well, so Dave calls me the other night, last Sunday, and he goes, because I told him I'm off, and I said we ought to meet and talk about this, because my thing is Dave's a musician, and his son is a musician, does computer animation. And I'm reading the thing. What they need, I think, what they need is they need story injected into their content. And that's what I'm going to pitch myself as. I'm the guy that's going to help you come up with the stories to drive this. Because his whole thing is he wants it to be kind of value driven, where there's like, you know, and that's going to be my pitch to him. Because I'm supposed to talk to him next week. I'm supposed to call at some point. We're going to do a video chat. I've never talked to this guy, but I'm going to tell him, you know, hey, you know, storytelling is fundamental to communication. I'm going to tell him, you know, people have been storytellers since all of time. Cavemen told stories. Plato told stories. The Greeks told stories. The Romans told stories. Jesus told parables to get his point across.
Right.
So if you want to get a message, telling it in a narrative form is a great way to do it.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell him, I'm going to say, if you look at MTV and you look at MTV, what's the video that everyone always remembers? It's Thriller, because Thriller told a story. It
John
expanded.
Landis.
It expanded the boundaries of what a music video could be in a way that's really never been topped. And so, but Dave told me that this guy, so Dave told me, send me. He wants to see. Oh, so he told the guy, he goes, kind of find out, like in North Carolina, this guy was like Dave's Sunday school teacher. So Dave told him, oh, Scott's a Sunday school teacher. So this guy, so Dave told me he wants to see a video of you. He needs to see video of you talking. I said, well, I just did a YouTube video that I watched that came out. I thought came out very good. I said, but it's about Marvel Comics. And I said, but I watched it. It's a very good presentation off the top of my head. And I said, I'll send it to him. Well, apparently that dude loved it. And
cool.
Dave called me and was like, he said, Niall, that's the guy's name, Niall Henson. Niall wants you on board. Because Dave has talked to a bunch of people about helping him. But he said, Niall told him, you've got Scott in your back pocket. He needs to be moved into your front pocket.
Wow.
He told him that he's done a lot of research about me, and he's looked into my background, and he said, I'm quoting Ellis, I'm not saying this guy is a genius.
Wow. Good Lord.
It's like
how'd that guy get so far in life? I don't know.
He said that he told him Scott doesn't just understand it, but Scott gets it.
Wow, amazing.
Anyway, so I'm
that is so cool. I think it is very cool that you've got, you know, these, you know, that branching out is happening.
God, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just Hollywood. I mean, you think you're about to conquer the world, and
oh my gosh, they bought my movie rights. Well, then it never got made.
Yeah, it's like the thing with Rob Schraub.
No,
Oliver
gosh.
Stone right away bought Scud, the
Scud.
disposable assassin, and it went into limbo from that point
Uh,
forward.
well, so he's supposed to talk to me. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, it's just cool because, oh, and here's the thing. I mean, I go, well, this guy's, whatever. But somebody in Las Vegas has been looking at and he's from Las Vegas, or lives in Las Vegas. Somebody in Las Vegas has been looking at my website like every single day.
Cool.
So I think he's looked at my work, and I mean, I've tried to put my best foot forward, obviously, but, and I felt like early on, if I was going to contribute, I mean, I don't think they want to make comic books,
No.
and I don't make music. Dave makes music. His son makes animation. So to me, it makes sense that what they need is like storytelling, but they've already raised. Okay. So Dave is in charge of, it's called Technotainment, like entertainment and technology. Dave is in charge of Technotainment Orchestra Oklahoma is what his branch is called. They've raised $5 million already. I know, it's like, what have they done? But this guy has got connections and he's got a track record.
People want to be in on it, and
Yeah.
it's like, give me a piece of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you some
He's
money.
not. He's not. Is he truly going like public with it? When you invest in it, what are you getting for your investment?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. Just a
Because
piece
if
of
it's just the crowdfunding, it doesn't sound, like what are you giving them for crowdfunding?
No, I don't think. I think these are investors versus
investors.
purchasers.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
they've raised.
it's really cool though. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing you want to have morph into your life all of a sudden, just out of the blue. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Oh, 100%. Well, and here's my thing. So years ago, when I was sending out samples, there was always this feeling like I could send off a sample and something life changing could happen out of that.
Sure.
And I've always tried to put myself in a position to where something life changing in a good way could happen for me, and it's sometimes it's hard to do.
Oh yeah. I mean,
You know,
especially if you are not particularly mentored on where to go and how to behave and all that kind of
well,
stuff
sure,
with that
yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah, yeah.
but it's cool, and I got a couple other things that are going on right now in my life that are like, hey, this could be really cool. My brother
Mm-hmm.
and I are talking about starting a business,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's cool to be like, it's cool to have
Let's just hope
the
your
idea.
appendix holds out.
Yeah, it's cool to have the idea that you could, something life altering in a good way could happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take that for granted because I know, not a lot of people have some of the opportunities that I have in life.
Well,
But I'll say this about the Dave thing.
mm-hmm.
I only met that dude because we'd go to Walmart and I'd stop there and he's this crazy guy with long hair, and I got to talking
he was
to
your
him.
greeter.
He was the greeter, and I got to, and some people walk past people like that, and they're a little boisterous or whatever, and they just ignore it, or they're like, leave me alone,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever, and I'm telling you, if you want something good to happen to you, you need to look for people that can help you like that. Not that anything has happened
Well,
with
you
this yet.
weren't in the hunt for anything like that. You were just
No, I
he's
was
just
just
somebody he's there. He's going to check your receipts, and it's like interact with him while you got him.
yeah,
Got his full attention. I got a
yeah,
I don't know how it went, but it happened for you.
yeah. Well, yeah, something happened. Anyway,
just,
so
he
I
just, he just liked you. That's it. That's all it takes. I mean, someone. When I think about you and Barry, and well, you and a couple other people I know through you. That's pretty much it for me in Oklahoma of people I can say I know, and there's been very little reaching out on my part. Well, of course, those people I've freelanced for, and I could get
well,
back on Facebook, and I could connect. That's the one thing that you can say difference between you and me. I decided Facebook was poison. I got off of it. Well, Facebook doesn't have to be poison, but it struck me as poison. And of course, I also got a little addicted to it. I could probably go back now and not feel addicted to it because I'm on Instagram, which is basically Facebook.
yeah.
And I wonder if I was to start my old domain name up again. I think they're always lurking around, ready to say, "Why don't you just restart it?" Basically, and it probably would fire right back up with the same follower account, as far as I know.
Maybe it might.
Maybe,
I am
but
not.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been off Facebook this week because it's a time sink,
Yes,
and
that's what I called it. Yeah.
so I'm trying to avoid that since I've got time off.
Yeah.
I don't want to be what they call it, doom scrolling. I want to be, producing stuff.
That's what I do. Doom scroll. It's like, why
Yeah,
did I go over this ground 10 times? I don't get you.
that's well,
Ellis.
that's why I have basically gotten off of X
Mm-hmm.
because when I go on there, it's stuff I don't really care about that I just get wrapped up into it.
Yeah, if somebody shows you something that's like hideous, it's like, oh my God, let me go get the gun. I want to shoot this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, wait a minute, why do I care?
Yeah.
I don't really care.
If I hadn't have checked in here, I wouldn't know about it. Yep.
Yep, yep. Anyway. Anyway, that's one thing that's going on potentially with me. I don't know. And who knows what'll happen with that? I mean, and they're interested. Supposedly, they're interested in the black cricket. I talked to Dan about that last night, and Dan was like, "If you can get something going."
Oh yeah, Dan's no doubt ready for you to run with any connection you can make.
Well, I felt bad because they were talking about it, and I was like, "Well, it's not really my thing. I mean, I'm involved, and I think Dan considers me a co-creator or collaborator or whatever, but it's certainly not mine to say, oh yeah, we'll sign that deal.
Yeah.
I would have to reach out to the guys,
Yeah.
and I would absolutely make sure that they got whatever was coming to them, much more than me. I'm kind of the Johnny come lately in that project, but I'm not worried about that. I mean, and that was the other thing Dave was telling me. Like he said, some of these people I've talked to, they're like, Dave, when am I going to start making money? And
Yeah.
he goes, I tried telling them, you're not applying. It's not like going to Walmart and applying for a job. We're building this thing. And I go,
Yeah.
well, what have they done to make money? I said, I haven't done anything to earn money. And he goes, well, yeah, people are impatient. I go, well, yes. But
Pe-
I think he
People.
likes the fact I haven't been impatient about it.
Yeah. Well, mystified by it is the.
Yeah,
It's,
mystified.
it's probably a fun quality to have on all of it because that means you want more. He says, feed me more. And just as soon as you're ready, I'm ready.
Well,
Anxious to hear my next missive.
and that's the thing is I didn't understand what it was, and so I didn't know how I could contribute because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't do music, so that's not really
Yeah.
something. But now that I've read that book, it's like, okay, and I kind of knew that from what he had told me, but it wasn't. But reading the book, I was like, okay, yeah, this is how I need to contribute, and this is
Hmm.
when I do get to talk to the guy. This is going to be my pitch is, hey, I need to work with the music guys, and we can come up with stories because hero's journey and all that jazz. That's
Hmm.
what speaks to people.
Yeah, I'm watching a story right now that is growing in my mind as far as at first I thought, this isn't much of anything. It's that model shop, which uh,
Oh yeah.
which is Gary Lockwood from
Did you
Space 2000,
did you
2001 Space Odyssey.
did
Go
you
ahead.
text me that, or did somebody else text me about that? I think a guy at work, or was it
Barry,
you?
Barry got into it pretty deep because it was, inspired Echo in the Canyon, and it inspired it a little bit. They were watching the movie, and it got the ball rolling. It's kind of like your friend. It's like these are Bob Dylan's son is watching a movie, and he says, "Hey, man, I know has people told the story of that time when all that stuff exploded around the birds and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Mamas and the Papas and that little time." And it's like all of a sudden, just because he saw that movie, the documentaries, all of a sudden he's reached out to everybody still alive, including, it starts out, the guy that's with, I think it's Jacob Dylan, is Tom Petty, which, he used to take the hit of being a Dylan imitator.
Oh really?
But yeah, I think he did. But that went away a long time ago. Dylan obviously thought of, like, hey, you're pretty good at being a Dylan, as far as I'm concerned, and they became the Traveling
Oh,
Wilburys.
that's right. Yeah.
So obviously there's no animosity between them if
Yeah.
we're ready to start a band together. So yeah, I dig the Wilburys.
Oh, I do
And of
too.
course, it's so weird to think he's probably one of the youngest people talked to or present in the documentary. And hell, I think he's one of the first to go. I think he's about the only one dead, other than the big rotund one with the big walrus mustache. What's his name? Crosby.
No,
Yeah.
for the Wilburys, that's the
No,
guy
no,
from.
no. This guy wasn't in the Wilburys. I don't think anybody
Oh,
likes
okay.
him. David Crosby. He
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Nobody likes David Crosby.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes it. I think that is actually touched on in the documentary. And I think at one point he says, "Yeah, I'm a jerk." He's got that high voice. It's interesting when people know that they rub other people wrong, but they can't help it. They seem to be built that way, and that's they kind of love themselves. That's part of what makes them jerks. It's like, yeah, so what? I love myself. You'll survive being around me, whatever.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think of it. Is there a jerk that is worried about self improvement and getting people to like him? I don't know. I don't know if they're made that way.
No, not for people to like them, or they would. I
Yeah.
mean, well, I don't. Hang on. I say that I know
Think of your
somebody.
biggest jerk that actually came to you and says, "Man, I'm really sorry the way I behaved."
No, no, no. But I know a guy who is a jerk and treats people bad, but it's very obvious he wants people to like him.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't know he has poor people skills though.
Yeah, he's got some sort of, maybe he might be on the spectrum or something like that in terms of, like,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm reluctant to say anybody because anymore everybody they say is on the spectrum. So
yeah, we've
you
all been
know.
nullified on the
I
empathy in some way
well,
or other.
what's funny is because you hear a lot of people go, oh, I'm partially autistic or whatever, and
Yeah.
so online I saw a deal where like, oh, take a test, and it was like, and it's not just pass or fail. It's like, what percentage autistic are you? I took the test. I was 0% autistic.
There you go. That's where you want to be. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't see any
Unless it
adverse.
causes you some sort of pain in terms of, like, saying, "Oh, we must help the starving so and so," and I mean, if you're always, you aren't bleeding out all the time, so you're fine.
Nah, I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
I'm the story I always tell is when I was a kid, I'd be trying to read or draw, and my grandma would always come talk to me and be like, "What are you drawing? What are you reading?" She wouldn't know what I was reading or whatever. And I always told her, don't
Don't
stop,
bother.
stop,
Don't
stop
bother me.
bugging me, stop bugging me. And so my grandmother always made my birthday cakes. And so one year she told me, she goes, I'm going to make you a birthday cake, and it's going to have a ladybug on it. It's going to say, don't bug me. And I was like, and I had kind of forgotten about that until I became an adult. And I realized that's still like my number one. It's like,
Yeah,
just
sure.
let me don't bother me. Don't, I don't like, I've had a couple situations lately where I've had to kind of be involved with certain people more than I want to.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like,
Well,
I
that's
wish this
work.
would just go away. I wish this would just go away. Sadly, it's not work stuff, but
Hmm.
it's like, I just wish this situation would go away,
Mm-hmm.
but it has not. So I was looking at my sketchbook. So there's a picture of you and me, Ellis, in the front of my sketchbook.
How about that?
That was from the paper. I found that. I had that stuck over here. I was kind of cleaning out, and I was like,
Hold that up closer to the camera. I'm not sure I remember that one. Oh,
yeah, it
where's
was
that from? The con or something?
some con, because that's my old
Okay.
con banner behind us.
Okay.
And then there's a picture of Michelle and I from high school.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I'm sorry,
Ruby,
college.
hold that up too. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look what Scott Sackett used to look like. Yep.
Yeah, about the same. I found a friend of mine put a picture of me online that he found from when I was a kid, and they were moving the library. I don't know if I told you this, and I immediately could pick myself out because there was a guy kind of in the middle that was wearing glasses, and his
Uh-huh.
hair, he needed a haircut, and his collar, it's wintertime, his collar and his jacket was flipped up. And I said, that's me right now. My collar's always flipped up. My jacket collar's always I can't get them to stay down, and I always need a haircut. Anyway, I'm happy with this little drawing I'm doing.
Yeah.
I decided Indiana
Going down
Jones.
to the snakes, or what are you
No.
doing?
This is a Roman soldier skeleton.
Oh, cool.
I need to work on it.
I didn't draw very well tonight. I was just determined not to do any sort of preliminaries, and I probably should have touched pencil to paper a couple of times tonight to try to get a little better drawing going. But that's all right.
It's okay. This
Oh
is.
yeah.
You
It's
know.
just
Did we have any
backdrop.
Did we have any comments besides?
No, actually, Fly Fox was our only guy present for just a little bit. He
Dan
helped us
is really
with,
busy.
yeah.
Helped us with.
He helped us with Alex Raymond, but I didn't notice it in time. And
Oh,
but he did know who we
he
were
knew
talking
who we were
about.
talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex Raymond, who again, our friend that's in the hospital. He was really into that whole thing that Dave Sim did on Alex
Oh
Raymond,
yeah.
which is so exhausting to read.
Oh
It,
my gosh, it's like
it
homework.
Yeah, it is almost like homework. It's like, okay, this guy was a great artist, but this isn't a very linear thing you want me to read here. Okay,
Yeah. Why? This is.
but it is. The art's great. It makes a
Oh God.
lot of
Yeah.
points about how why was Alex Raymond so well thought of, and it was for that that beautiful rendering that nobody else was doing.
Yeah.
He is one of those guys, but obviously Hal Foster came before, and Hal Foster could do anything that Raymond could, but Raymond juiced it up a little bit, just enough that you said, I can't do that. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
Until, guys that were also inspired by Foster came along and said, the mark to beat is Raymond.
Yeah.
And that was Frazetta, to my mind.
Oh yeah.
He said, no, this is me in that Carnival series, Carnival Ball or whatever that he did for the Egg Rice Burroughs. All those great
Oh
drawings
yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
You look at that stuff and you say, good Lord, how can a human being render so informed with how wash can go down and fade away and pick back up again as you pick that line up, and it's like, how can you do that? I don't know. It's like, how many times did you have to start over? I bet never.
Yeah.
But of course, Frazetta was a big one for knowing where he was going, because as his thumbnails prove, he's already got that genius level of his talent
Visualization.
going. Yeah. And he just, if he's got a strong idea already thumbnailed, he's just gonna go there pretty quick.
Yes.
I saw something. There was a really nice lesson on Instagram about shape design. The guy did the other day. Yeah. I'll just send it to you. You'll probably dig it. It's just a guy making sure understanding what you're saying when you say the abstract as a general rule. It's just saying, okay, where's all my shadow shapes? What do they look like? And let's figure out how much you want to invest in them. In terms of like this one will be just tossed away, and this one will get that rendering effort, and this one won't.
Yeah.
Well, we are at 1 hour, Scott. Do you feel like you've got yourself quite a sketch going there? Hold that up a little closer to the camera. I'll hold mine up. Oh, yeah, you've got some nice rendering solved on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm about ready. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know how I'm gonna go from here to there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't draw his face because my reference is on my phone for his face. So
put it in shadow. That's my go-to.
Yeah. Well, I made him 3/4, so I made maybe a little bit of a cheat there. But I wanted him looking at the skeleton because that's the whole thing.
Well, that's that's kind of the fun part of. Sometimes when you throw something in shadow, the audience fills in the blank that they are looking at the skeleton.
Yeah.
That you say, fun. I get to solve something for myself when you leave some information out.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, nobody showed up, but that's all right.
That's okay.
How about downloads? Do you still want downloads of these things?
Oh yeah, give me downloads and I'll load them up.
I'll give you last week's and this week's if you want them.
Yeah, do them and I'll load them. I've loaded the first two, so that would be 4 you've sent me total, right?
Yeah. If
I've got the first 2 loaded. So just no hurry. You don't need to do it tonight. Just whenever.
Yeah, no. It won't show up tonight anyway, but last week's would be available. I may drop that to you. Well, take it easy, Scott, and I'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah, or let me know when you're going, and maybe if I'm around, I'll meet you or something, okay?
Okay, all right.
Okay, man. I'll see you later.
Okay, let me end the